So today we have most important topic, that is deflection of trusses. In most of the computer examinations, we have question on this, that may be zero force member or deflection at joints. So we will go for that topic. So we have deflection of trusses. Now in this, we will first see strain energy equation for axial members, and we have strain energy equation for axial members. U is equal to summation p square L upon 2ae. Now using this equation we are going to find out the deflection using Castigliano's first theorem. Now we have Castigliano's first theorem, and that theorem says partial derivative of strain energy with respect to load gives deflection under the load and in the direction of the applied load. That we are going to apply dummy load over there, and deflection if plus, then that is in the direction of dummy load, and if minus value, then that is in the opposite direction of dummy load. If variable load is available at the joint, then we need not require to apply dummy load over there, and the value if positive, then that is in the direction of that variable load, and if negative, then we have that is in the opposite direction of dummy load. So we have da by u by da by w. We have applied dummy load or variable load available at the joint, and that will use 2p dabba p by dabba w upon 2ae into L. After simplification, we will get that value as p dabba pw by dabba w L upon ae. Now in this, we have w as dummy load. Now we have unit load method, or we can say it as virtual load method, and using this method we can determine displacement easily. Instead of apply this dummy load w, we can apply value as unit force there, and if we will apply unit force there, then dabba p by dabba w can be replaced by k, which is known as the force in the member due to unit force applied at that joint where deflection is required. And then you can see we are going to get value of delta, that will be equal to summation pkl upon ae. P, that are the forces in the members due to external loads, k unit force, forces in the members due to unit force, L length of the member, A cross sectional area, and E we have Young's modulus. So knowing all values, we are in position to determine value of delta, that is deflection. Now we will see what are the different steps that we have to perform while going to analyze this determinate truss. So analysis of determinate truss means you have to find deflection. As we are considering loads at joint only, so we do not have slope in trusses, we have deflection in trusses because forces are acting at the joints. Now first we have identify zero force members. Then second step, if you will see, then we have identified joint with maximum two unknowns. Why we are saying two unknowns? Because when we are considering joint separately, then that will act as concurrent force system, and for concurrent force system we have only two equations of equilibrium. One we have, that is summation fx0, and another we have summation fy0. So we have to consider the joint with maximum two unknowns only. So then once we have identified this joint with maximum two unknowns, then we can solve the joints and we can find the unknowns. But if we do not have such joints where we have maximum two unknowns, then we do not have any other choice than your determination of reaction. So we have to go for the reactions, and after calculating of reactions, then again we have to go for step 2, and then we have to go for step 3, that is solve the joint with maximum two unknowns and then find the forces. Now the forces which we are going to get by these forces are known as P forces, and these forces we got from due to the external loads. Now we will remove all external loads and we will apply unit load at the joint where displacement is required. Now that force you can give in any direction, but if you have horizontal deflection required, then you have to give horizontal positive side or negative side. If you want vertical, then you can give vertical positive or vertical negative, that is your choice. So if value you will get positive, means your assumed direction for the unit force is correct and your deflection is in that direction. But if you will get negative value, that shows your displacement is in the opposite direction of the K forces. Now the forces from the unit load are known as K forces. So we are going to find out again forces in the same manner whatever we have calculated for P. Now once we have these P forces, then we have K forces, then we can determine the deflection, and that formula already we have seen, we are going to use over here, that is summation PKL upon AE, and in this we know all the terms. We know P, that force due to external loads. K we know, that is forces in the members due to unit force. L we have length of the member, and AE which is actually axial rigidity, A is cross sectional area, and E we have, that is modulus of elasticity. So in this way we are in position to determine the deflection by using this formula, that is delta is equal to summation PKL upon AE. So now following all these 9 steps, we will switch over to the next part, that is how we will identify zero force members. Now this identification of zero force members, this is actually can be applied at the joints where you do not have any external load or where you do not have any reaction, then only you can apply these steps. Now if you have two members at a joint where you do not have any external load or any reaction, then your both members are going to be zero. Now you can see over here joint C, where we do not have any external load, we do not have any reaction, and then you can see the joint C, we have two members CB and CD, and both members CD and CB become zero because we do not have any reaction or external load over there, and two members are there. If you apply, consider joint C separately, apply Fx0, apply Fy0, then by using Fx0 you will get Cb0, and by using Fy0 you will get CD0. Now this we can apply for the joint where we have only two unknowns. Suppose we have three unknowns at a joint, and out of these three unknowns, if two are collinear, then we are going to get force in the third member, that is 0. Now here you can see we have different joints over here. If you will see, we have joints over here. That joint we have joint E, then we have joint C, joint E we have joint C, where we do not have any external loads. Now you can see joint C, joint E, joint B, and joint F. At all these four joints, we can apply these steps. Now we have joint C, you can see at joint C, we have actually three members. We have CB, we have CD, and we have CE. Out of these three members, CB and CD, these two members are collinear. So automatically my CE becomes 0. Now if I will go to joint E, at this joint we have 4. Out of these 4, CE is 0. So if CE is 0, then I have three members, EF, ED, and EB. Out of these, EF and ED, these two are collinear. So automatically my BE becomes 0. And likewise we can find the forces in the members by using this concept, that is zero force members. So in this way we can identify zero force member and we can solve the problems very easily. Now we will go with the first problem, that is determine the horizontal displacement at A for the truss supported and loaded as shown in figure. Now we have this truss ABC and load is acting at A 80 kilonewton. Now if we will draw free body diagram for this, then we are going to get at simple support two reactions. and at roller support we are going to get one reactions. But we will avoid the reactions actually, because reactions are not required to determine the displacement. But if we will not get any joint with two unknowns, then only we have to go for the reactions. Now we will go to the calculation of P forces. So calculation of P forces. So we will consider each joint separately, and then at each joint we are going to apply equilibrium equations to determine the forces in the members. As we know, the joints will act as concurrent force system, and therefore we are in position to solve it only for two unknowns. We cannot find more than two unknowns. So if now we will see at A, we are going to get two unknown joints, that is FAC and FAB. These are the two unknown forces at joint A. If I will go to the joint B, so at joint B, we have three forces, FBA, then we have FBC, and then we have two reactions. So we have four forces at joint B. And if we will go to joint C, then we are three forces. So two are member forces and one is reaction. That is force in CA, force in CB, and vertical reaction at C. So we have to start with joint A, and then we have to go to joint C, and then we have to go to joint B. Now we will consider each joint separately, and now we will apply forces in the members, and after calculation of each joint we are going to mark these forces in the figure. So now we will always assume tensile force in the members. So we have assumed AB tensile, we have assumed AC tensile, and once we have assumed this as tensile, we are going to apply summation Fx0, we are going to apply summation Fy0, and we are in position to find out two unknowns, FAB and FAC. Now we have to see the coordinate of the force, and then we are going to write down the equation. So we have minus FAB cos 60 plus FAC cos 60 plus AT equal to 0. This is my first equation. And similarly, I can write second equation, minus FAB sin 60 minus FAC sin 60 equal to 0. And solving these two equations, I will get forces in the members FAB, which will get as 80 kilonewton tensile. That we will show in AB. In AB now, you can see you have tensile force, that is right corner figure. And then you can find AC also. And that AC we are going to get as minus 80, that is compression. And that you can see, we have shown that is in the diagram with value magnitudes 80 kilonewton. Now once I know these two values, so if we will go to joint C, then joint C I know CA value, unknown is CB and vertical reaction. But we are interested only that is force in member CB. Now if we will go to solve this, then we are going to get this as, now this is joint B actually, and we have this joint B, Fx equal to 0, and we have minus FCB plus FCA, that is cos 60, and that will gives me value of FCB. And we will get this value of FAC, that is 40 kilonewton tensile, and we will show that value 40 kilonewton tensile, that is in the diagram. So now we are with all P forces. Now our next work, we have to go for K forces. Now while going for K forces, as we require horizontal displacement, so we have to apply unit force at the joint A, because we are interested to determine horizontal displacement at A. Then once we have applied this force, then again in the same way, we are going to consider joint A separately, B separately, and C separately. And in the same way, we are going to write down the equation by assuming tensile forces in the members. Now you can see we are going to write down it, and we are going to get two equations, and these two equations we can solve simultaneously, and that will gives me K forces. So we have now joint B we have solved. So this is actually joint B, and by using joint B, we are in position So we have not A, we have this joint as B, and then we will solve this joint B, and then we are in position to find out the forces in the members. And then we have calculated CB, and we are going to get value of CB in this, and that value of CB we are going to get it as 0.5 tensile. Now we can show it in the diagram. Now we know P forces, we know K forces. Now our job, we have to we have to add this summation of PKL for all the members, and by this we are going to get PKL upon AE, and knowing this PKL upon AE, we are going to get that as deflection in the deflection at joint A due to external load 80 kilonewton which is applied at A. And now you can see this. So we have these P forces, then we have this K analysis, and then we are going to substitute these values in the table. So for member AB, we have substituted P, K and length and area. These values actually are given for length and A. Similarly, we can have for BC, and similarly we have for CA, and which will gives me summation PKL upon A, which will be 480. And if we will put it, then we are going to get this value as 2.4 millimeter. Now PKL we have taken 480 into 10 raised to 3, because PKL upon A we have here that unit P we have kilonewton, K we do not have any unit, L millimeter, and below we have millimeter square. So we have PKL upon A, that is kilonewton per millimeter, and E value we have Newton per millimeter square. So I have to make it as Newton per millimeter, and therefore we have multiplied it by 10 raised to 3. And we have this value as 2.4 millimeters. Now we will go to the second problem. Same problem we have considered, but in this problem we are going to determine the vertical displacement at joint A. Now area and all these we are going to consider as same. We are interested what will change we are going to get while considering this problem. So now same P forces we will find. Then I will not explain these P forces, because already we have with these P forces, and then we have considered different joints. So joints we have at A 2 unknowns, if we will go at B 4 unknowns, at C we have 3 unknowns. So we have to start from joint A. So now we will consider each joint separately, as these are concurrent force system. So we have only two equations of equilibrium. So we have to start from A, and we have calculated this. So I will not again repeat this. So we have these P forces. Now you can see, now again we have this joint, we have to consider it as joint B, and then we are going to get these forces in this. So now these forces we are going to write down, that is in the figure which we have at right corner, and that will gives me P forces. Now change we have, that is for K forces. Now we have assumed K unit force in upward direction. You can assume it in downward direction. So if I have assumed upward and value I will get minus, that means my displacement at A in vertical direction is downward. So that is change only. If you will consider downward, if you will get value plus, it shows your displacement is in downward direction only. Now again same way we are going to determine at joint A we have two unknowns. So we will solve these two equations simultaneously. Same way whatever we have done in case of horizontal displacement. Now here we are going to get actually both tensile. If you remember, in case of horizontal, we are same nature of forces whatever we have for P forces, but here that nature is going to be changed. We have AB tensile, in P also tensile, but AC we have tensile, but in P forces we have that as compressive. BC, if you will see now, then we are going to get this at joint B, and again we have at joint B we have considered again two equilibrium equations, but the force in the member we are going to get here, that force we are going to get it as compression, whereas in P forces we have this force as in tension. So knowing these values which we have marked again in the main figure, we are interested to determine the deflection of the trusses. And then you can see we have these P forces, and then knowing these P forces, knowing these K forces, we are in position to determine the deflection. Now you can see we have members, so we have just put the values of the forces in this P. You can say AB both plus, but BC 1 plus 1 minus, CA 1 plus 1 minus. and from this I will get this value as minus 53.33. Again we have to multiply it by 10 raised to 3 to make it in Newton per millimeter, and that will gives me value negative, which will shows my displacement at A in vertically downward direction, and value we have 0.267 millimeters. So vertical or horizontal displacement, that we can find very easily. Now we will go to the next problem where we have considered this truss, which I have shown you early, because my intention to how to determine the zero force member, how we will apply concept to this. So I have not taken problems with more number of members and to determine the forces in this. So we have this, and then we are going to consider each joint one by one. So now we will consider joint D. We have only two unknowns, but if you will see, then you have member DC and 120 kilonewton. These two are collinear, so automatically my FD value becomes 0, and FDC I will get it as 120 kilonewton, and that values we have to show in the figure that you can see that is in main figure. Now we have to go to joint C, because now joint C we are with two unknowns, that is CB and CE. Now if I will go to joint C, then I have two unknowns, and out of these three members, two are collinear, CB and 120 kilonewton, which is force in member CD. So automatically my force in member CE, that becomes 0. Now I know once CE 0 and CB 120 kilonewton, I will mark these forces again in the main diagram. So now knowing these two joint, after solving these two joints, we will switch over to the third joint, which is now joint E, because now at joint E we have two unknowns. But if you will see carefully joint E, then at joint E we have two forces are 0. Force members EC and ED. So we have only two members over here. And we know concept we have, if two members are there, no external load, no reactions, then both members should become 0, or we can say force in both members are 0, and we are going to get these forces as 0. Again we will mark these forces in the main diagram. Now we will switch over to joint B, where we have again 3 and 2 unknowns. So we have, though forces are 4, but 2 are known forces, so remained is 1 only. Now if you will see this carefully, then you will see we have force member BE is 0 and BC is 120 kilonewton. So now as BE is 0, means we have three members over there, that is BC, BA and BF. But out of these three, BC and BA are collinear, so force in member BF should be 0, and force in member BA, that is 120 kilonewton tensile. So we will mark these forces again in the main figure, and then we will switch over to the last joint, which is F joint. Now F joint we have four members, but two are 0, so we have two forces only, so we can say these forces in both members should be 0, because no external load, no reactions, and we will mark forces in the main figure, and this will gives me total P forces in the member. Now I will not go for K forces, because once I know P forces, so automatically I will apply unit force at D, that is 1. So automatically if I will divide 120 by 120, that will be 1, and I will divide all the force members by 120, gives me K values. Means I can have CD, CB and AB as unit force, and again that we are going to get is at tensile. So when you will go for competitive examinations, if you have problems like this, then you should be careful. Need not require to find K forces. You can directly use that as K forces. Now the forces in which we have P0, K0 need not require to include in the table, and we can include only three members in the table, and we can find horizontal displacement. Then you can go for this. We have member AB, we have 121. So we have in all members 121, and their length and area is also same. So all values we are going to get PKL as the same, and then we have that as 720. And then we are in position to find out value of delta H, which will be PKL upon AE, and that we can find by substituting these values. 720, again we have new kilonewton per millimeter, convert it into Newton per millimeter, and it gives you delta H value, and that positive means that is in the direction of unit force, that is towards right. So problem given, we have to think, we have to see it very carefully, and after that we will identify zero force member, and after identification of zero force member we can go ahead and we can find P forces, we can find K forces, and then we can have this table. So now we will go to the last problem where we are going to find out both, that is horizontal displacement, vertical displacement. Forces in members are given: horizontal 1000, vertical 1200, diagonal 1500. E is 210 GPa, and we are interested to determine horizontal and vertical displacement. We are with this problem. Now we will start with again in the same fashion. So we have joint C with two unknowns, because CB and CD, these are two unknowns at joint C. If we will go joint B, we have three unknowns. Joint A, we have again 4. Joint D, we have again 4. So preferable joint, we have C without reactions. So now I will go to the joint C, and at joint C we have these two unknowns FCB and CD. Again we will assume these as tensile. So while assuming member force, we have to consider tensile, but while taking from the joint, we have to take as it is, that is compression or tension. But while considering any joint, we should not have any negative value of the force. That magnitude you have to consider always positive at the joint. So now by using Fx0, by using Fy0, FCB we will get 60 kilonewton tensile, and FCD we are going to get minus 100 kilonewton, because 100 kilonewton external load is acting downward. So we are going to get it as upward, and therefore we have to consider it as minus sign. Now we will show these forces in the diagram, main diagram, that you can see. We are going to get 60 kilonewton tensile, 100 kilonewton now compressive. Now when I will consider joint B, you have to consider 60 kilonewton as tensile. So whatever arrows you have to go with the same arrows. We are not going to write down magnitude over there. And now you can consider joint B, and at joint B you can see we have three members. So we have BC, BD and BA. But out of these three, we have BC 60 kilonewton tensile. We will show it as it is. FBD and FBA we have to assume tensile. So now apply Fx0, now apply Fy0. And by applying Fx0, Fy0, we are going to get force in the member BD, and we are going to get force in member BA. Now knowing these two forces in the members, we have to mark these forces in the diagram also. Now here FBD we will get minus, means compressive, and FBA we are going to get it as positive value, and that positive value means we are going to get force in this member as tensile. So knowing these both member forces, we will mark these both member forces in the main figure, which is at left top corner, and this we can show it. Now after showing these forces, now we have at joint D two unknowns, one vertical reaction, and they can take a second force in member DA. Now I will consider the joint separately. Now see very carefully the joint D. I have shown this 84.85 kilonewton, which is compression, and I have shown DC also compression. But force in the member DA, we are going to consider it as tensile. So we have this force in the member as tensile, and knowing this member force, considering this tensile, we are going to write down this equation, and that will give us force in the member as 60 kilonewton tensile. And here this is important, you can show, I have shown arrow 84.85 kilonewton, but that is here I am not going to mark FDB or FDC, we are going to mark as it is. If you will see joint B, at joint B I have shown 60 kilonewton tensile. Here I have assumed tensile forces. Here I have assumed tensile force in member FDB, and that we have assumed as tensile. So we have this as FDB, and that is tensile. So we should be very careful with this. While assuming this, we have to consider these directions accordingly, and then we have marked this. Now we will go first for horizontal displacement, and therefore I will apply unit force over here. Now as we know, we can directly also find these values by divide. Now we cannot directly divide it by that 80 because we have vertical force also, and forces in the members are due to vertical as well as due to horizontal, so that you cannot divide member forces by any horizontal or vertical force. And then we will find values separately. You can see over here fx0 fy0, that will gives me forces in member CB and force in member CD. After knowing these forces at joint C, I will switch over to the joint B, and at joint B again I have two unknowns, and I will consider these two unknowns FBD and FBA as tensile, and by using fx0 and fy0 I am in position to get the values of the forces in members. And that forces we are going to get FBD, we are again compression 1.41, and FBA we will get again tensile, and that value we are going to get as tensile 1. So now keep in mind, while considering this, I have considered all length AB, BC, CD and DA we have same, and as our all length are same, so that angle we are going to get that angle as 45 degrees. So now if we will go to the next part, then we are going to get this as joint D. And for the joint D, again we have considered FDB as compression 1.41 and FCD that is 0 because we do not have any force in CD. And here FDA we have considered as tensile, and we are going to get this value positive, and therefore we are going to mark it as tensile in the main diagram. So now we have these K forces which we will say as KH, that is due to horizontal unit force. We have KH over here. Now we will go to the vertical displacement, and we have applied unit load in upward direction. You can consider it in downward direction also and solve this. So if you will see carefully, then we are going to get C joint, and at C joint we have FCB 0. And if FCB is 0, then you consider joint B. So we have only two members, FBD and FBA, and we do not have any external load, any reaction. So automatically member BA, BD and BA forces becomes 0. So now our remain force, that is DA only. So you consider joint D and then apply again Fx0 and Fy0, and applying this Fx0 and Fy0, we are going to get force in member DA, and that force we are going to get in member DA, that force equal to again 0. So we are going to get these forces. We have shown these forces in the main diagram, and now we are interested to determine PKL. So we have first P forces, second we have KH, and third we have KV. Now we will go to the table. Then we have first all these values. Now we have KH, KV, PKH L upon A, PKV L upon A, and then we will mark values in all the members. Then you can see as we have AB and BC, both we are going to say same length. So automatically my angle becomes 45 degrees. Then it is not required to mention angle over there. So we have substituted all these values of P, values of KH, values of KV, and then we have calculated value of PKH L upon A, PKV L upon A. So we have all these values in the table, and once we have included all values in the table, we can find summation PKH L upon A, summation PKV L upon A, and from this I will get value of delta H, and I will get value of delta V. Now you can see these values in this table. So we have here PKH. So we will put values in this for all members. That table which is in last slide, that table we have taken, and by using this table we are in position to find out summation PKL upon A. So first value is PKHL upon A, and second PKVL upon A. Unit again we have for this value, that is we have in Newton per millimeter. Convert it into Newton per millimeter. So now delta H we can get summation PKH L upon A, and you substitute this value 424.19, and E we have 200 into 10 raised to 3. and knowing these values, we are going to get value of delta HA plus. That means my displacement is towards right, and that is positive because unit force we have considered towards right. Now we will go to delta VA, that is delta V, that is at A summation PK VL upon AE, and that value we have actually here, this value we have minus 125, and knowing this value minus 125, if we will substitute it, then we are going to get value of delta V, and that value of delta V, actually this is not delta H, we have this value as delta V, so we have delta VA, and that delta VA we are going to get minus, we have considered unit force upward and value we got as downward, that means my displacement is in the downward direction. So we have problems if we will see for the displacements are simple, but you have to find that is P forces, K forces very carefully, see their direction, you assume always tensile, if you have minus value you mark it as compression. While considering new joint, you have to consider arrows of known forces accordingly. Do not write member over there, directly write force, show its correct arrow, and then you go for the next. Whenever you consider any joint, you do not have any magnitude as minus, you have to consider all values as plus for the analysis of the joints. So we have this related with your deflection of trusses, and next we will go for fixed beam. So today we will stop here only.